Coach, what'd you see from Poirier today?
You can see his skill level. You can see the ability that he has with the puck for sure. The one hard part for him was he missed the start of camp with the injury, and I think it was at times a little quick. We just have to keep going with him and try to get him up to that game speed. But I thought for his first one, I thought he did a good job tonight.
I asked this more big picture than about what we just saw tonight in the finish, but what's it going to take for this team to have more success in 3-on-3 overtime than we saw a year ago?
Yeah, a big part of it is managing the puck. I mean, even you see tonight, we take some shots from the outside, when it's a 1-on-2 or a 1-on-3 even, and that's just giving it back to them. So you have to keep the puck as much as you possibly can, and then you have to work to build speed together. So you saw Raz do it one time. He threw it back to Vladdy there to try to maintain possession to allow us to change. That's kind of what it's about. It's becoming more of a possession thing now, and when you get a chance, you want to make sure that opportunity is a good one, like they had. Those are situations that you don't want to give up.
Something you sort of intend on practicing more?
Yeah, we'll keep doing it. I mean, it's something that you have to touch on. The hard part is you don't have a lot of practice time as the year goes on, and playing 3-on-3 full ice with certain players is taxing. And they're typically your guys that play a lot of minutes during the game, so you have to try to pick and choose your spots, but we'll try to slide it back in for sure.
How do you feel your group is in general doing with adapting to the systems changes you're making?
I think they're getting there. Tonight was maybe one of the more disappointing nights. I thought we were way too passive in a lot of areas, and I thought we were way too east-west and trying to play through people at the blue lines. So I thought tonight was a bit of a step back from what the guys have been done to this point. So now it's a matter of kind of regrouping and getting focused again on what we have to do for our Monday night, I guess.
Can you speak to just how comfortable Osterley looks out there?
Yeah, he really does, doesn't he? I mean, I will go back and I will say a lot of that has to do with Chris. It's not easy for a young guy, or not a young guy, but a new guy coming in. It's difficult till you find out where you fit in the group. But anytime people are paired with Chris, the game seems to be a little bit easier. So I think he's done an excellent job so far for us, but I also think Chris, again, is a big part of helping him be himself.
On Jordan, what was the scouting report or the book on him coming in? Like, what kind of defenseman was he?
It's funny, when he was in Bakersfield in the American Hockey League, when I was in Stockton, he was like one of the faster, more offensive defensemen that we would see. And I think his game's evolved a little bit where at the NHL level, maybe the offensive ability wasn't quite the same that it was earlier in his career at younger levels. So he's had to change and adapt. So now he's kind of become I don't want to say more of a defensive player, but he takes a lot of pride in how he checks, and he still has the offensive ability to make plays. So he's done a real good job.
What have you thought of Dan Vladar's performance in preseason?
Yeah, I thought Dan was excellent tonight. Like, he was one of our players that stood out. There weren't a lot of us, I should say. Dan was one guy that I thought played really well.
He sort of said to us, the first half of that game was pretty hard to sort of stay locked in because he wasn't seeing much. Do you check on a guy at intermission? Do you send the guys? No.
That's a goalie's job. And there's going to be stretches like that where he doesn't get a lot of action. Then there's going to be a flurry of shots, and the mark of a good goaltender is that he's able to make saves when he needs to. And like I said, I thought there was some big saves that he made down the stretch. Unfortunately, a dumb decision. We ended up losing the game.
You used Ilya Slavia a lot during the preseason so far. I think this was his fourth game. What have you seen from him so far that keeps getting him in the lineup?
Sorry, Ryan, I didn't hear the name.
Ilya.
You know what? He's been steady, and I think that's what we're looking for out of him. The game in Winnipeg, I think he had that one penalty kill. The shot blocks were they kept coming, and he was still eating those pucks. But I think when you look at his game, he's played a big game, a heavier style of game, and he's kept it very simple. Tonight there was a few mistakes with the puck from him, but I think overall he's been really good as well, and he's done what we've asked of him to do. So he's in a position too where he's pushing to not just be taken seriously, but he's pushing to knock someone out of a job, and I think he's done a pretty good job of that.
And in 3 preseason games so far, a bit of a two-parter for you. I'm curious what your impressions have been of Sam Honzek, and then on top of that, talking about an 18-year-old, what these experiences are going to mean as he kind of builds forward?
Yeah, it's funny when you see the young guy. You see the ability he has to skate. That's one thing that's been evident. I thought the game in Winnipeg was his best game, where I thought he was noticeable with the puck and without it. He made some good decisions with it. I think it's for a young guy at times he's trying to figure out where he fits in a little bit, and I think I don't want to say afraid to make mistakes, but he doesn't want to make a mistake. And sometimes when you play the game that way, maybe he's not as assertive on the puck as normally he would be. So we want to get that out of him a little bit more, try to build up that confidence and see where it goes from there.
What's the balance, Ryan, during these games? Not that you don't care about winning, but the balance between nailing down your systems versus trying to win a game in a preseason.
Yeah, you always want to win. There's no doubt about that. And I think more important than the systems for me are how you play within them. Like, are we skating? Are we moving the puck the right way? Are you executing? Those things are important. And I think in exhibition, a lot of times, that's when older players would attest to it, or they would probably confirm it, that's what it takes them the long time to get back, is the execution and the foot speed, what they're doing within it. Guys are sharp upstairs right now because they're all fresh, so they typically pick up the systems fairly quickly. So it's more about the pace that they're playing at and how they are with the puck.
Coach, with Matt Coronado, he was probably one of the strongest guys when he played in the USHL or the NCAA, but that's not the case in the NHL. How much of an adjustment is that for him?
It'll be a big one, and he's going to face that every day. But he's a competitive guy, and I think he's getting an understanding of how he has to, at times, position himself. There's the one play that he's going to learn as he goes, where he was kind of in the slot and he got his shot deflected up into the netting. Well, there's an example how everything's a step quicker. So he's gonna improve as we move along in those situations. He's gonna recognize, I don't have that extra second anymore. I'm gonna get that shot away sooner. So it's things like that for him.
What did you make of the ending of the game? The Backlund goal being waved off, the Sharagovich goal getting waved off to the tying goal and ending in overtime. A bit of a weird one to end it, even if it is preseason.
Weird one, but it's just a stupid decision on my part. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.